Welcome guys back to the Myke Shrews YouTube channel, and today I just got done watching Spider-Man 2. No wait, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. No wait, that's not right. Spider-Man Far From Home. Alright guys, so this is definitely going to be a spoiler-filled review, so if you have not yet watched the movie, change away from my dumb ass, and then come back after you've seen the movie, of course. Alright guys, so let's get into this. Alright guys, so we are going to be discussing Spider-Man Far From Home, and again, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. As much as I did not want to do a spoiler-filled review, I just feel I want to talk about this. I want to get it out, get my opinions out. I have not done an Operation Babel podcast on this one yet either, so this will be pretty cool to be able to just spout my shit out here first, and then again, I'll be discussing it on the podcast later on. So, and you can check that out at soundcloud.com or on YouTube at Myke Shrews. Alright guys, so Spider-Man Far From Home is the first movie in the MCU after the whole Infinity Gauntlet series, Endgame series. So what we're gonna do is talk about a little bit of that. Of course, they dive into it. The beginning of the movie, they explain the whole snap thing with a little, they call it the blip, I believe it was. And they do like this little video, and it's like a kind of a tribute video to the people that we lost in Endgame and all that stuff. And it's actually pretty cool, pretty well put together, because they layer it in as part of the school video. And my first thoughts were, oh shit, this is all we're gonna freaking see about it. The studios just heard the complaints and were like, oh, this is all we're gonna freaking get. So we better toss something in the movie to reference the whole snap thing. Luckily, that was not the case, and they kept bringing it up throughout the movie, and it was freaking awesome. They even had one of the kids from the first movie become 5 years older, stating, he was still there during the snap period. All right, so with all that said, again, of course, this is pre or post Tony Stark world now, so we have to deal with all that in the movie, and they do a really good job of it. Just so we get it out there, I love the movie. I thought it was a better put together movie than Endgame it was itself. Endgame, there were spots in it that were really good, but there were spots in it too that felt really rushed. And this movie did not feel rushed. It felt like it was a complete story, and it had everything that I wanted in it. And shit that I didn't even know I wanted in a Spider-Man movie. First off, they do a lot of referential stuff in it, like every other Marvel movie does. However, in this one, there was a lot less pop culture references and more references to the MCU itself, which could still be considered pop culture, but it's world. It's within their world. And I thought that was really cool. I didn't have to hear any stupid gamer Fortnite jokes or Cheese Whiz in the freaking blood and all that shit. So that was really cool. Not to have to hear a bunch of stupid pandering jokes to that are gonna be outdated like super fast. Like all the stuff is really referential to the series itself. They even do some Captain America gag where Happy throws a iron shield or something, and it completely misses the target, and he's just like, "Oh, how does Cap do it?" Yeah. So the references were freaking awesome. I loved it. Another thing that I loved too was the reference to Marvel Zombies. So of course we're dealing with Mysterio. Mysterio's bad if you have not read the comics or seen the cartoons or anything. Mysterio's bad, and they do a scene in there where he's like doing all the trippy shit to Spider-Man, and there's a spot where it's Tony Stark's grave, and Iron Man comes out of the grave in the Iron Man suit. You don't actually see Robert Downey Jr. You just see the Iron Man suit like busted out of hell with a zombie inside of it. And I thought that was fucking awesome. It was great to see like the reference to the Marvel Zombies series in the MCU. I never thought I would have seen that, especially with the way the franchises have been going. I did like the Mysterio reveal, like how they did that up. I liked it. It was a good combo or twist to see in the movie, especially for people that don't know Mysterio is a bad guy. My wife did not know. She did not read the comics, and she never even watched the cartoons or anything. So she just thought he was going to be a good guy the whole time. So the twist was really cool to see for what I hear a lot of people call them normies nowadays that go to the movies that don't know anything about the comics or anything, but just go to the movies and see them. So that twist right there is really cool for people that aren't aware of it. She was definitely shocked by it and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool to see them do the twist the way they do it. But as a Spider-Man fan and everything else, you know it's going to happen. They kind of threw Tony Stark under the bus. This is one thing I did not like a little bit. They kind of made him to be like a villainous boss or some shit. But I understood why they were doing it for the storyline, for all that stuff, for the tech and all that. I understand, he owned the company. He's the face of the company. And if you think the face of the company, like freaking Elon Musk, creates everything in his company, you're fucking retarded. And it's not true. He's just the face of the company. He's the one that shows you the stuff and all that. So I understood where they were coming from, but it seemed like they were trying to throw Tony Stark under the bus a little bit. And after his death, it was like, why? Why are you doing this? And speaking of Tony's death, this movie still had the heartstrings. It pulled at all those strings, dude, like to make you still tear up, at least for myself, still tear up every time they did like a Tony Stark memorial thing at the beginning of the movie, or when Spidey and or Peter Parker and Happy are talking about him later down the road, or even when Spider-Man's putting his suit together on Tony Stark's jet and then they start to play some AC/DC. It was freaking awesome. Made me tear up. I loved it. And when they did the zombie thing, when you see his grave there, it kind of made me tear up because the way they just laid it out. And then, of course, the zombie comes out and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm trying not to go step by step for the movie. I'm just trying to hit the points that I liked in it. As well as far as like the movie itself is very well structured into the multiple acts. I love the stuff that they did with the kids. It was really well put together for MJ, Peter Parker, and all those guys, all the friends, Flash, and all them. They really put them together pretty well. At the end of the movie, they reveal in a post-credit scene that Nick Fury and Maria Hill are Talos and his wife. The Skrulls from Captain Marvel. Of course, this is probably just like a throw-in, to appease people, because everyone's like, oh, what if Nick Fury's a Skrull? And guess what, people? Nick Fury's a Skrull in this entire movie. And I loved it because it makes sense as to why Nick Fury and Maria Hill are kind of oblivious to a lot of the shit that's going on. And they even reference it in the scene as to like why they didn't contact the other Avengers and stuff like that, because they don't know them. They reached out to Spider-Man because they were basically just giving him the glasses from Tony Stark for Nick Fury, because Nick Fury was, and then they show on vacation, kind of on a Skrull ship up in space, surrounded by a bunch of Skrulls and all that. So that was pretty cool. I am very interested to see where they're going to take the Skrulls in the future. I hope that they're going to do like an evil faction, good faction type thing, and then we get some kind of Secret Wars type movie laid out within. That'd be really cool. The last main fight scene that they do in this movie, where Spider-Man has Beck like pinned down in this hallway. It's a glass hallway up in the sky, up in the air, kind of like a walkthrough to get across. And it's just those two guys, and then there's a couple drones that are flying around, and it's freaking awesome. The whole sequence, as soon as it goes to hologram mode, and you get to see Spider-Man really kick ass in this scene. Like, he just beats the shit out of these things, and it resembles a Iron Man sequence that you would have seen, like Iron Man go, and in like a dark room or something. And it was cool, and I feel that this scene is going to be very iconic for Spider-Man in the future. I hope so, because I love the sequence. And again, it's like the last main like fight scene that he has with Mysterio in this movie. So if you're watching the movie again, definitely check that scene back out, because that was awesome. Just the choreography of it was pretty sweet too. The lighting was cool. I mean, it was mostly CG shit anyways. So it was really cool to see that fight scene. It made me want more Spidey movies, and more like right now. And then there's another credit scene where J. Jonah Jameson shows up, and it is J. Jonah Jameson from the original Spider-Man 3, the trilogy that Raimi did. And it was awesome until they started making Spider-Man into a bad guy. Of course, that's his gimmick. But then they reveal Spider-Man is Peter Parker in this thing. So I'm curious as to where they're going to go with the next movie from this. Is he going to be dealing with it or what? Because I know in the comics, the only time that Spider-Man really revealed himself to the world was during Civil War, when he took his mask off and tried to go through all that crap. So I'm really curious as to what they're going to do, and see how well that gets laid out within the future movies, and see where Sony and Marvel, Disney Marvel, take this to go. And then one last thing I have to go on to is I love the jab that they do to the screenwriters within this movie. So it turns out Mysterio has like a screenwriter that basically wrote his story up that he was going to tell about him being from another Earth and all this and that bullcrap, and that he got sucked into our Earth, or that Earth, during the snap or whatever. So they have the screenwriter, of course. They're going through all that crap, and then there's at the end of it, they have to like make something up really quick, and the screenwriter's reading something to Mysterio, and Mysterio's spouting it off to Nick Fury, who is actually Talos, and he's just like says it to him, and then Fury looks at Maria Hill and is like, well, now I know that's bullshit. And I love it because it's kind of like a jab towards like all the screenwriters, and like how we as an audience can take something and we'll believe some shit, and then we'll be like, well, wait a minute, no, that's just stupid as shit, dude. Like, come on now. And the fact that it was kind of at the end of the movie, to me, it resembles like how we feel about a lot of these Marvel movies, where at the end of the Marvel movie, it's like you have a decent movie put together, but then at the very end, it's like the same recycled thing over and over, which I love about this one. It was not the same recycled mumbo jumbo that we get from movie to movie to movie. As far as structure and everything goes, I'll probably get into that on Operation Babel. As far as how I felt it was structured, I loved it. It really got me back into wanting to watch more of these Marvel movies. Endgame was kind of like, it had its highs for me. I liked the movie, but I didn't love the way that they executed the movie, I guess. There was a lot of stuff left open with that one. And I'm glad that this Spider-Man movie was well put together, well established, and just done completely perfect, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, there are some things that could be fixed within it, but as far as, coming off of Endgame, I think this is a good ending to this phase. And I feel that going forward, if they keep doing movies like this and don't dive into other, like, backtracking into stuff like they were doing in Endgame or Captain Marvel, I think that it would be really cool. I can't wait to see what they do with the Black Widow movie, and I am excited to see how they bring the Eternals into the picture, especially seeing that not many people know of the Eternals. It'll be really cool. I would really enjoy it if they brought Thanos' parents into the mix with the Eternals. Now, guys, that is all I have on this. Let me know what you think of the movie down in the comments. Like and subscribe this video and the channel and all that mumbo jumbo. Head over to soundcloud.com/Operation Babel and check out a bunch of other podcast to listen to everything. And yeah, guys, that's all I got for today. Again, this was Spider-Man Far From Home, and I loved it. Peace. Be kind of cool to see them do like a makeshift show, kind of like they're doing with Loki and Falcon and all that stuff. They said Earth 616. Even though Mysterio was blatantly lying and pulling shit out of his ass, I love the reference to 616 because there's a group that I want them to bring into the MCU just to fight Black Panther, which were Supremists, I think it was. It was kind of like a white supremacist, like superhero, or not superhero, but super villain island group that was around Wakanda and shit. And I really think in today's climate, especially, that would be a really cool group for them to bring into Wakanda and all that.